Hola muchachos. Today we're going to talk about los mandatos afirmativos en la forma de nosotros, which is basically the we affirmative commands. Los objetivos o the objectives are formar los mandatos en la forma de nosotros y formar los mandatos en la forma de nosotros con pronombres. In English, what exactly is an example of an affirmative nosotros command? So it's saying let's do something. Examples would be let's learn how to conjugate. Let's go to school. So they're commands and it's in the we form. So you're basically saying let's do whatever it may be. Okay, so how do I conjugate the commands in the we form? I first put the verb in the yo form, drop the O, add the opposite ending, AR would be E, ER and IR would be A, and then because it's the nosotros form, I would add mos. Think about where you've seen this before. In the affirmative, usted and ustedes commands, you've also seen it in the subjunctive and in the negative too. So it's the exact same way. So an example, if I wanted to say, let's dance, and the verb is bailar, I would start in the yo form, so bailo, drop the O, bail, add the opposite ending, it's an AR verb, so it would be an E, so it's baile, and because it's nosotros, bailemos. So let's dance, bailemos. Another example, if I wanted to say, let's cook, yo cocino, cocine, cocine, cocinemos. Let's cook, cocinemos. Let's go out. So yo form, salgo, salg, opposite ending, salga, nosotros form, salgamos. So there are three extra things that you do want to remember while conjugating the verbs in the nosotros form. The first thing is that there's no stem changing. If it is a boot verb, just like in the present tense, you would not stem change these. Example would be poder, so to be able to. Typically, I would say yo puedo, so it's O to UE. However, because it's nosotros, you wouldn't do that. You would just look at the opposite ending and add mos, so podamos. We also have despertar, to wake up. So normally I would say despierto, IE, but because it's nosotros form, I keep in the E, so despertemos. And lastly, dormir. Also, it's in the boot verb, so it is a type of boot verb, so you don't need a stem change, would be dormamos. Another thing that you do have to remember is cargar and zar. Do you think that cargar and zar verbs change the nosotros command? Think about it for a second. They do, because of the sound. There is that opposite ending. So, for example, CAR makes the sound car, and if I change it to E, it would say SAR. And I don't want to do that. I still want to keep that K sound. So an example would be practicar, to practice, and I want to say let's practice. So I would say yo practico, practic. Practicemos. Uh-oh, that's only if I didn't do what you're supposed to do. So I would actually change it to QUE, practiquemos. And lastly, there's one other thing that you have to remember, and that is that there's one irregular verb. I think that you agree with me when I would say how exciting this is, because now that you're in the more advanced grammar, knowing that there's only one irregular verb, I think that's the first time that you've had that this entire time of learning Spanish. So this is very good, and that one irregular verb is something that's almost always irregular, and that's the verb ir, but it would just be vamos, which you already know. So if I wanted to say let's go to the store, it would be vamos a la tienda. Alright, so let's practice a couple of these. I am going to go pretty quick. I'm not going to have any pauses for the sake of time in this video and how long it might have to load on your internet. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly. Do remember to pause. This is for your practice. So as soon as you see the example in English, push pause and write down these examples. So let's play video games. Juguemos a los videojuegos. So it is typically a stem changing verb, but we're in the nosotros form, so you keep it as jug, and it is a cargar zar verb. Juguemos a los videojuegos. Let's start now. The verb, if you forgot, is empezar. Empecemos. It is cargar zar. You change it to C. Let's go to the movies. Vamos al cine. It is that one irregular. Last one, let's make it. Hagámoslo. It is There is a pronoun at the very end. Remember, we do put pronouns at the end of commands, and even though it's a nosotros form, it still goes at the end, and there will always be an accent mark because there are no nosotros commands that are just one syllable. Now let's add a reflexive pronoun to the end of these commands. Remember, reflexive is something that you do to yourself or things that are done to each other. Examples would be levantarse, to wake oneself up, maquillarse, to put makeup on oneself, and ducharse, to bathe oneself or to shower oneself. So when adding a reflexive pronoun to the affirmative nosotros command or nosotras command, you drop the final S before the pronoun. Let's look at that. Also, remember that the pronouns attach to the end of the command. An example would be let's put makeup on, and that is maquillarse. We know that the command would be maquillemos without even thinking about this last se. So maquillemos. We know that se, because it's in the nosotros, will turn into nos. So it would be maquillémonos. Whoa, that doesn't sound right. So it would be maquillémonos. We do have to take out this last S that's here, maquillémonos. A way to remember this is Dora the Explorer, Dora la Exploradora. Hello. She said something that we're all familiar with. Think about what would it be? Vámonos! She's saying, let's go. That comes from the verb irse, and we already know that ir is irregular, so it would be vamos. We do still need that se, which would be nos, so it'd be vámonos. It's not vamosnos, it's vámonos. You do still put that accent mark over, and you take out that S that would typically be there. So let's do a couple practices. Again, be sure to push pause so you can practice these on your own. The first one, let's wake up early. The verb is despertar, or despertarse. Despertémonos. So I do put the accent mark over the E. I take out this S, and because it is stem changing, it's the nosotros form, but I don't stem change it. So despertémonos temprano. Let's call each other tonight. Llamémonos esta noche. This is call each other, so it'd be the nosotros form. Llamémonos esta noche. Let's hug each other. To hug is abrazar. Abracémonos. So this changes to a C. It's cargazar. Take out this S. Alright guys, that's everything. I'm sorry for the long video, but I hope that you learned a lot. Make sure that you wrote down any notes, write down the questions that you may have, and we'll go over it tomorrow in class. Adios!